Picture this. It's January 1st. You're scrolling through Instagram, seeing everyone's New Year, New Me posts. You feel inspired, but also a little guilty. Because deep down, you know that same motivation last year fizzled out by February. Sound familiar? Today, we're keeping it real. We're not here to sell you a magic formula or tell you to completely reinvent yourself overnight. Instead, we're diving into why these resolutions often fail, how small, realistic changes can actually stick, and why sometimes the best growth starts with accepting yourself just as you are. So, if you've ever felt the pressure to become someone better every January, or if you've made a resolution that didn't survive past the first week, this episode is for you. Make sure to stick around until the end, because we're going to share some real-life stories, practical tips, and maybe even a little tough love about what it really takes to grow without burning out. Okay, let's be real for a second. We've all posted, or at least thought, New Year, New Me, right? And don't get me wrong, I love the idea of a fresh start, but sometimes it just feels kind of fake. Like, why do we feel this pressure to completely reinvent ourselves on one random day of the year? Here's the thing, a lot of us make promises that we don't even really believe in. We tell ourselves, this year I'm going to work out every day, or I'm finally going to stop eating junk food, and we say it like it's some life-changing deep commitment. But honestly, deep down, we know it's kind of a stretch, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we're lazy or weak, it just means we're human. The problem is, when you make a promise you don't fully believe, your brain already kind of knows it's going to fail. So instead of motivating us, it can create guilt, stress, and even make us quit before we even really start. And then comes the classic cycle. You feel like you didn't stick to your New Year, New Me plan, so you beat yourself up and repeat it all over next year. Ugh, exhausting, right? I think a lot of us forget that real change doesn't need to start on January 1st. You don't need a sparkling new calendar or a viral quote to make a difference in your life. Small, believable promises, things you actually feel you can do, are way more powerful than these giant, Instagram-worthy resolutions. Like, instead of saying, I'm going to go to the gym every day, you could say, I'm going to move my body 3 times a week. Boom. Way more doable, way less pressure. So yeah, New Year, New Me can feel fake, but it's not because we're failing. It's because the promises we make are often more about appearances than reality. And once we start being honest with ourselves, we can actually create changes that stick without the guilt trip. Let's talk about unrealistic resolutions, because honestly, this is where everything starts to go wrong. We set these huge goals like, this year I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, eat clean, read 20 books, start a business, and glow up mentally, physically, spiritually, all at once. Girl, be serious. The issue isn't dreaming big. Dreaming big is beautiful. The problem is setting massive goals with absolutely no plan. We say what we want, but we don't ask ourselves how. Like, when exactly are you going to work out if you're already exhausted? What happens on the days you don't feel motivated? We don't plan for real life, and then we're shocked when the resolution falls apart. And then comes the comparison, which makes everything 10 times worse. You open social media and suddenly, everyone is thriving. Someone lost 10 kilos in a month. Someone else started a business. Someone's journaling at sunrise with a green smoothie. And now your normal progress feels embarrassing. Like you're behind. Like you're failing. But what we don't see is the full story. We don't see the help they had, the years it took, the bad days, the breaks, the mess behind the aesthetic. We compare our day one to someone else's highlight reel, and that's just not fair to ourselves. Unrealistic resolutions plus comparison is such a dangerous combo. It turns growth into pressure and self-improvement into self-criticism. Instead of feeling proud for trying, we feel disappointed for not being enough, fast enough. So maybe the real problem isn't that we're not capable. Maybe it's that we're asking too much from ourselves, too quickly, while constantly looking at what everyone else is doing. And honestly, growth doesn't need to be loud, aesthetic, or impressive to be real. Sometimes it's quiet, slow, and messy, and that still counts. Okay, so after talking about unrealistic resolutions and all that pressure, let's flip the script a little. Because small changes, they're actually everything. Like, tiny habits don't look impressive, but they're powerful in a way. Big, dramatic transformations just aren't. We've been taught that change has to be loud, that it has to look like a full glow-up, a strict routine, or an overnight transformation. But real growth usually starts so small that it almost feels pointless. And that's why most people skip it. Think about it. Doing 5 minutes of stretching sounds silly compared to a 1-hour workout. But the magic is in the consistency. Tiny habits are easier to keep, and when something is easy, you actually show up for it. And the best part? Small habits don't fight your real life. They fit into it. Instead of saying, I'm going to eat perfectly, you say, I'll add 1 healthy meal a day. Instead of, I'll journal every night, you say, I'll write 1 sentence. Instead of, I'll wake up at 5 a.m., you say, I'll wake up 15 minutes earlier. That's sustainable. That's realistic. These little changes build trust with yourself. Every time you keep a tiny promise, your confidence grows. You start to believe, okay, maybe I can change, and that feeling, way more motivating than any New Year quote. So yeah, big transformations look cute on social media, but small changes are what actually last. They don't burn you out, they don't overwhelm you, and they don't make you feel like a failure when life gets messy. And honestly, a year of tiny habits can change your life way more than one dramatic January ever could. Let's be honest, motivation is cute, but it's unreliable. It shows up strong in the beginning, full of energy and excitement, and then it disappears. And when it does, a lot of us assume something is wrong with us. Like, why can't I stay motivated? But the truth is, motivation was never meant to last. What actually creates change is consistency, routines, the boring, repetitive stuff we do even when we don't feel inspired. And no one talks about how unglamorous that part is. Growth isn't always exciting. Sometimes it's just showing up on a random Tuesday when you'd rather do anything else. So what do you do when you don't feel like continuing? First, you lower the bar. You don't quit, you just do the minimum. If your goal is to work out, maybe today that means stretching for 5 minutes. If your goal is journaling, maybe you write 1 sentence. Doing something small keeps the habit alive without burning you out. Second, you stop romanticizing consistency. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean doing it every single day without fail. It means coming back after you miss a day, or a week, or even a month. The real win is not giving up just because you broke the streak. And lastly, you remind yourself why you started, but in a gentle way. Not out of pressure or guilt, but out of care. Like, I'm doing this because future me deserves it, not, I have to do this, or I've failed. That mindset shift makes such a difference. So yeah, motivation will fade, and that's normal. But routines, they stay. They hold you up on the days you're tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. And those are usually the days that matter the most. One of the biggest mindset shifts we can make on this whole New Year, New Me journey is learning how to celebrate progress instead of chasing perfection. Because perfection, it's exhausting. And honestly, it's impossible. We're so quick to focus on what we didn't do, the habit we missed, the day we weren't productive, the plan that didn't go perfectly. But we rarely stop to acknowledge what we did do. And those small wins, they matter way more than we think. Progress can look so quiet. Maybe you didn't fully change your lifestyle, but you tried. Maybe you showed up once when you usually wouldn't. Maybe you rested when you needed to. instead of forcing yourself. Those are wins too, even if they don't look impressive to anyone else. Tracking small wins helps shift your mindset from "I'm failing" to "I'm learning." It builds confidence and keeps you going without that constant pressure to be perfect. Sometimes progress is literally just not giving up on yourself. And perfectionism? That's where burnout lives. When you feel like it's all or nothing, one mistake can make you want to quit everything. But growth isn't linear. You're allowed to have off days, low energy weeks, and moments where you slow down. That doesn't erase your progress. So instead of asking, "Was I perfect today?" maybe ask, "Did I try? Did I take care of myself? Did I move forward, even a little?" Because real growth isn't about becoming flawless. It's about becoming more patient, more aware, and kinder to yourself along the way. One thing I really want to leave you with is this. Change doesn't belong to January. You don't need a new year, a new month, or even a Monday to start showing up for yourself. Life isn't a reset button. It's a journey. We put so much pressure on January 1st, like it's our one chance to get it right. And when we fall off, we feel like we've missed the moment. But growth doesn't work like that. You can start again on a random Wednesday, in the middle of the year, after a bad week, or even after giving up completely. Reinventing yourself doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's just choosing to try again. Sometimes it's deciding to be kinder to yourself today than you were yesterday. And sometimes growth looks like resting, healing, and figuring things out slowly. Growth is a year-round journey. There will be seasons where you're motivated and glowing, and seasons where you're tired and just surviving. Both count. Both are part of becoming who you're meant to be. So if you're listening to this and thinking, "I'm behind," I want you to know, you're not. You're exactly where you need to be. Change is always available to you, and it doesn't expire just because the calendar changed. So if there's one thing I hope you take from this episode, it's this. You don't need to become a completely new person to grow. You're allowed to evolve slowly, imperfectly, and on your own timeline. If this episode made you feel seen, understood, or even a little less alone, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Leave a comment and tell me what's one small change you want to focus on this year. I'd love to read your thoughts and connect with you. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, and for choosing yourself today. And remember, growth doesn't have to be loud to be real. I'll see you in the next episode.